Hello everybody and welcome back to Lifestyle Critic and our breakdown of episode 5 of Loki. Wow, that was just another brilliant episode. I literally cannot wait for next week's epic conclusion. This series has honestly been such a revelation. Marvel really do just seem to get better and better. Were anyone else secretly gutted that there wasn't a post-credit scene this week? I guess they did have that almighty brilliant ending and didn't want to detract from it. Overall, I did ever so slightly prefer last week's episode, but this one was just really funny and really grand with its material as well, especially the final 10 minutes, which did such a good job in setting up next week's epic finale. So let's break it down and go into the void. First, we get confirmation that everything that gets pruned, including buildings, people, vehicles, etc., all get sent into the void, where a giant cloud snake called Alioth destroys them for good. Some Lokis have been able to stay away from Alioth, and I absolutely love Tom Hiddleston's line here about how he doesn't know how long he's been alive for since the Battle of New York, and actually seeing the alligator isn't that strange. The Lokis then take him to his base where he learns that they're all variants as well. And I'm loving the fact that we have Kid Loki, Classic Loki, and Boastful Loki here. Anyone else think that Kid Loki is going to be another member of the inevitable upcoming Young Avengers team? He was still alive at the end of this episode, after all. Also, did anyone else spot Frog Thor here as well, which I thought was absolutely brilliant as he was trying to go for Thor's hammer the entire time? Meanwhile, Judge Renslayer versus Sylvie was also absolutely brilliant. I loved seeing Miss Minutes here being used as a real life character again, and along with Ravonna Renslayer did a bit of a Loki and tricked Sylvie into believing her that there is a spaceship that will be able to take them into the void where they can rescue Loki and find out who is behind the curtain. I thought Sylvie working out that the end of time must be the location where this person is staying was pretty ingenious. All the while some TVA soldiers have been alerted and are going to come there to stop Sylvie once and for all. I would have liked a little bit more happening between Ravonna Renslayer and Sylvie, especially after everything that Ravonna has put Sylvie through. But in order to progress the storyline, Sylvie self-prunes herself and goes into the void to rescue Loki. We learn a little bit more about the other Lokis here, and this could have been the show itself, right? With hilarious banter and throwbacks just happening between these different Loki forms. And then the funniest scene yet, we see even more Lokis turning up. A battle between all of them then takes place, which was pretty legendary, especially as they're all literally betraying each other. And we also get a bit of a glimpse of President Loki as well. Again, I wish we could have seen a little bit more from him, as this really is Loki in his true prime. But alas, in order to progress the storyline, we see Tom Hiddleston's Loki trying to escape the madness, which was pretty awesome, which he ultimately does do along with Kid Loki and with Classic Loki as well. Sylvie and Mobius, the team up, that was pretty wicked as well. It was a team up that we never knew we needed, and I really like the moment between these two characters, as obviously Mobius has been after Sylvie for so many years, or well, we don't know how time works in the TVA, and she even compared his treatment towards her like being hunted like a dog, which I thought was really powerful. And it really does hark back to episode 2, where we were wrong in thinking that this person is actually the evil one all along. We also see that Ravonna Renslayer has Hunter B-15 imprisoned, and we find out that she really doesn't know who the man or woman is behind the curtain, which I'm really loving as it's really inspired by the Wizard of Oz. Sylvie then reveals that her plan is to enchant Alioth, and seeing the tender moments between Loki and Sylvie was really nice, especially as they don't even know how to be friends, let alone true lovers, to anybody else other than themselves. And I really hope that this ultimately doesn't lead to the betrayal of one over the other, and that they do show that they've both actually changed. But that being said, they have already done Loki's redemption storyline in the main sacred timeline, so who knows what on earth next week's episode will have in store for us. Mobius heading back to the TVA to ultimately destroy it is going to be incredibly exciting next week. His emotional goodbye with Loki as well was really good. I wonder if this means that Mobius will ultimately die next week. But that being said, we have kind of seen that happening last week and now this week in terms of an emotional goodbye with the Loki character. That being said, who knows what's going to happen in season 2, whether or not we're going to have Owen Wilson back, or new characters. It's all going to be very, very awesome. So can't wait to see what's going to happen next week with the Mobius character. Sylvie is then trying to enchant the Alioth Snake Cloud character, with Loki being used as a distraction, but Alioth isn't going towards Loki and is almost going to kill the Sylvie character as the distraction from Loki just isn't working, which is then when we see the brilliant scene of classic Loki using his powers that none of the other Lokis even knew they had. And I really liked Sylvie's line here about, you don't even realize how powerful you are, which I thought was really, really cool. And ultimately, classic Loki is sacrificing himself in order for the other two to survive, which allows them to cross-enchant Alioth and successfully reveal the castle by the end of this episode, so we can see who on earth the person is behind everything, which just has to be Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror, right? Also, watching the finale again for a second time was even better than watching it for the first time, as the Asgard that classic Loki is creating is just an illusion, and the laugh that he does at the end just before Alioth is about to kill him, and that line that he has about glorious purpose just meant so much to him, as especially just minutes ago he was talking to the other Lokis about them being cursed to always betray and cheat everyone around them, even in the void, and if they try to go off this path in the real world, they'll just be pruned, so are somewhat stuck and trapped in this reality. So helping the other two for the greater good just meant so much to him, as it was something that he was able to do for the first and tragically last time as well. So I think this classic Loki little story arc was actually really, really powerful as well. So episode 5 of Loki overall was brilliant. I absolutely loved all of the Norse mythology inspired scenes. The room full of Lokis was absolutely hilarious. The reunion with Mobius and Sylvie was really, really amazing too. I just cannot wait to see next week's massive showdown. The different Loki variants must be hinting towards there being different Peter Parker variants in No Way Home, which is going to be absolutely unbelievable. Literally cannot wait for that to happen. Also, what do we think about this scene from next week's episode? I mean, Sylvie did say that there must be a timeline in which you can rule, so I wonder if this is what that is, or if Loki is the mastermind behind everything along with Kang. So maybe this variant of Loki is the one that we're looking at here, or if he's going to betray Sylvie next week for his own selfishness. Hopefully it's the first option, but then again with Loki you just never know what's going to happen, and we are going to get a second season, so who knows what on earth is going to happen in the future of this show. So there we have it. What did you guys think of this week's episode, and what do you think will happen next week? Let me know in the comment section below, and be sure to follow Lifestyle Critic on Twitter and for Instagram for real-time updates, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Bye everyone.